The spirit of innovation is deeply ingrained in America, and Google is helping Americans innovate in ways both big and small. Central Texas Regional Mobility Authority is using Google AI to create smarter tolling systems and improve traffic flow for Texans. This is a new era of American innovation. Find out more at g.co/American Innovation.
Joining me now to talk about it is my friend Mike Crispy. Mike, welcome to the Stone Zone.
Roger, an honor to be with you. Great to be back. And it's been a great 100 days under President Trump, and this Columbus Day news was just another cherry on top of what's been an amazing ride so far.
It is. Mike, I invited you because you are one of the founders of the Italian American Civil Rights League. That is a nonprofit organization. You can find it at iacrl.org. You and I are both affiliates. It is a nonprofit with no overhead. Everybody involved is a volunteer. But our specific purpose is to preserve Italian American culture and the proud heritage of Italian Americans who have contributed mightily to the greatness of this nation. So I think the president's action today is very much in keeping with the principles and mission of the Italian American Civil Rights League.
No, 100%. You know, President Trump had said over the course of the campaign trail several times that he would save Columbus Day. He made that distinction very clear. And we were running in the race in the 2024 election with Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, candidates on the Democrat side, who said that they wanted to abolish Columbus Day, get rid of every statue, and create Indigenous Peoples Day far and wide. So President Trump made that promise. He actually had a phenomenal performance in all of the major Italian counties in the United States, all the top 10 Italian-American counties. There was a shift to the right by 3 to 8 points in each of those respective counties. So President Trump has a great base of support with Italian-Americans for years to come, Roger. This was a great move by him, and I'm looking forward to this Columbus Day under his presidency.
Mike, tell us about your show, because your show is red hot, and I don't want anyone to miss it.
Well, thank you, Roger. So on Real America's Voice TV, Last Call with Mike Crispy, we're having a good time on weekends now. You know, we're celebrating the golden age of America. So we have a show on Saturday nights. It's a little bit fun, but it's obviously very entertaining and uniquely, fast-paced and hard-hitting. We have that Italian-American energy going on, and it's been really great. We've been doing it for a month on Real America's Voice, a channel that, many people know, and we have great people who come on, great panelists, and we're trying to cover President Trump's first 100 days and then his 4 years subsequent while celebrating his successes, laughing at the peril of the leftists, and also giving people a fun new alternative to watch on Saturday night when the leftists put out their mindless content. They can now watch Last Call, and they can get informed and get entertained. And it's never been a funner way to spend your weekend. So we look forward to having you on soon, Roger.
I appreciate that. So, Mike, let's talk some New Jersey politics because you made a valiant and very strong race for Congress 2 years ago. I know many Republicans, conservatives, MAGA supporters are urging you to take another stab at it. On the other hand, you're a young man. You have a great future. You're building a very, very substantial media following. I think anybody who was paying attention really credits you, beyond President Trump himself, of course, with the president's incredibly strong showing in the Garden State in the last election. I mean, New Jersey was not a targeted state. The Trump campaign, candidly, wisely, sent their funds to targeted swing states that were absolutely crucial to the president's victory. In no one's count were New Jersey's electoral votes counted in the 270 likely for Donald Trump, yet the president ran incredibly strongly in the Garden State. And I think that is due very much to the grassroots shoe leather effort that you and others in New Jersey put forward.
It was pretty amazing because they were trying to kick President Trump off the ballot in New Jersey in January of 2024. And we formed our group, the America First Republicans in New Jersey, out of that fight. We said they're not going to kick off President Trump from the ballot. This guy is extremely popular in New Jersey, and that actually kicked off a 32-stop rally tour that we held from January all the way up until November holding events for President Trump's campaign all around the state. We would be in the most red counties. We'd be in the most blue areas, such as Newark. And no matter where we went, Roger, we would have over 100 to 300 people coming out to learn how to get involved. We didn't have any fancy speakers or guests or anything like that. It was just grassroots patriots coming together whenever we had an event to talk about the future of New Jersey and talk about what we could do together to maximize the output for President Trump. So 32 events. We got 2,000 volunteers signed up. We did 1.5 million voter contacts through text, digital, and door knocking all throughout the state. And President Trump obviously had a historic rally in New Jersey in Wildwood where he had 107,000 people. They said that was perhaps his biggest or one of the biggest rallies that he had all 2024 campaign season long. So nobody was expecting it in New Jersey. You know, he had lost the state in 2016 and 2020 by 16 points both times. This time, only losing it by 5.5. It shows that he has totally changed the whole paradigm in this state, and he has set it up for the future for it to turn red. I think that's going to be a big part of President Trump's legacy in the Garden State in the future, is that he changed this state. And I think in the future, 2028 and beyond, we can flip it red. That's going to be thanks to the groundwork that President Trump put in, awakening so many of the masses, and obviously our volunteers in helping spread that message.
Looks to me, Mike, like you may have a presidential candidate from New Jersey, Senator Cory Booker, a former mayor of Newark, whose last campaign for president fizzled badly, seems to have kicked off his campaign. First, he gave a filibuster on the U.S. Senate, speaking for 24 hours plus, breaking the previous record, which was held, I think, in 1958 by Senator J. Strom Thurmond. And I noticed that while he did have a lot to say, the one thing he did not address is why, as the mayor of Newark, he received a $200,000 payment from the New York City Water Authority, essentially called Watershed, that went immediately to his law firm and from his law firm to his pocket. Now, when he was confronted by those very few souls in the New Jersey media who are not in the tank about how this was possible, then Mayor Booker said, well, I am an ex officio member of the board of the Watershed Authority, but I wasn't present and I didn't vote to award the money to my own law firm. The problem is that I dug up the official minutes and they show him present and voting yes. Two of the top officials of the Water Authority went to prison, but Cory Booker went to the U.S. Senate. Will he face this kind of scrutiny if he runs for president?
Well, you know, Roger, you were one of the first people to blow it out in the open with your book that you wrote about Cory Booker, Spartacus, as we call him in New Jersey. And I believe that Cory Booker right now is totally setting up to run for president. The stunt that you mentioned with the 24 hours, and then there's that footage of him over the weekend sitting on the steps. He was sitting on the steps for 10 hours in Washington, D.C., outside the Capitol or something like that. And he was talking about what a courageous effort he was undertaking, him and Hakeem Jeffries. So this is what a Democrat on the rise looks like. I like our chances for 2028. He's not going to have an easy time. I don't think he's going to be top 5 when it's all said and done in the Democrat nominations. There's a lot more candidates that have a lot more money and, frankly, a lot more political savvy and skill and are a little bit smarter than Cory Booker. So he's going to try, but he's going to fail. And our two senators in New Jersey have been just an utter disgrace, Andy Kim and Cory Booker, every single time. They're the loudest mouths who are inhibiting progress to this country, whether it be speaking in favor of illegal immigrants or speaking in favor of tanking the economy. These people don't want America to be made great. They're the biggest loudmouth cronies of the left, and Cory Booker is going to go no place when he inevitably declares his candidacy. Look forward to seeing him flop.
Yeah, I saw him on the steps of the Capitol. Candidly, looks like he's put on a few pounds. So here's another question for you, Mike. The other U.S. senator who was forced to resign, Senator Menendez, this was his second brush with the law, but now convicted of far worse than bribery, convicted of taking national security information and leaking it to a foreign enemy. putting American lives in danger, accepting gold bars along with his wife. It is rumored that he or some of his supporters are furiously lobbying President Trump for a pardon, either for himself or his wife. Separately, there's a rumor that the gentleman who actually bribed the senator is also lobbying for a pardon. Should the president consider pardoning any of these people?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. We have a rule of law in this country. The Democrats for the last decade have totally flaunted it. They have made a joke, quite frankly, of the rule of law. And anytime there is any exercise of power, they've used it against innocent conservatives. So when a Democrat does something illegal, which many of them have over the last decade, they usually don't face any consequence. The reason that Menendez was caught red-handed is because his crimes were so egregious, egotistical, and out there that it was right there in everybody's face. That goes to show you the status of the modern-day leftists and Democrats is that they think they can get away with anything. So Bob Menendez, dead to rights, him, his wife, the one who was paying off the bribe, these people operated like an organized crime racket. And Menendez, quite frankly, it's treasonous activity. I mean, putting the interests of foreign countries over the interests of America, which he very much is guilty of when you read through the case and the file. I mean, that's horrible. That is the exact opposite of what we elect our members of Congress to do. We elect them to advocate at the very least, even though if they have a different worldview of us, to advocate for the people of the state and the country. Menendez is such an egregious case because everything he did was to advocate for essentially foreign countries, and that's where that money was coming from. It was to advocate for the interests of the Egyptians over the interests of the people in New Jersey. It's an insane case, and there needs to be an example made out of him that if you're going to act like this, you need to face the consequences, because members of the Senate, even on both sides, are getting really kind of out of line on stuff. We need to bring it back. We need to have more people who are transparent and advocating for the constituents. So Menendez, I don't think he's going to get a pardon, and I sure hope not, Roger.
All right. If you're just tuning in, we're talking to Mike Crispy. This is the Stone Zone. Whatever you do, don't touch that dial, because we'll be right back.
There are black beans, and then there are Goya black beans. Whole, plump, delicious, and loved by all kinds of chefs. The professional chefs at Chef's Best love them so much, they awarded our beans their Excellence Award. At Home Chefs love them so much, they awarded our beans the internationally acclaimed Goya black beans. Whole, plump, and oh so delicious. Find them in the Goya section of your local grocery store. If it's Goya, it has to be good.
Janine Pirro here with an urgent warning. While we celebrate Trump's historic win, inflation continues to drain your IRA and 401k. And China is now targeting your money with a kill shot on the dollar. That's why thousands of Americans are shielding their savings with gold and contacting the experts at Colonial Metals Group. For a free 2024 gold guide that explains everything, go to freegoldguide.com/Pirro, Pirro, or call 800-965-8004. Don't let America's enemies ruin this victory and steal your retirement money. The experts at Colonial Metals Group are the only folks that I trust to bulletproof your wealth in gold. Go to freegoldguide.com/Pirro or call 800-965-8004. 800-965-8004 for a free 2024 gold guide to learn how you can protect your life's work and if you can qualify for a free home safe and up to $7,500 in free silver now. freegoldguide.com/Pirro.
Tax day's always a pain. Next year could be a nightmare. If Congress fails to extend Trump's tax cuts, middle-class families will get hit with a huge tax increase. That means less money for groceries, less money to pay your mortgage, less money for school supplies, and less money for family vacations. A $1,500 tax increase? That's enough to give families the cold sweats. Avoid the nightmare. Save Trump's tax cuts. Learn more at protectprosperity.com. Paid for by Americans for Prosperity.
Boxing's biggest weekend is here, and DraftKings Sportsbook is bringing the heat. New customers bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's right, $5 gets you $200 to play with. Cash in on boxing's biggest weekend ever with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use promo code FIELDGOAL. That's promo code FIELDGOAL to unlock $200 in bonus bets when you place a $5 bet with promo code FIELDGOAL. Only on DraftKings. The crown is is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY at 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 and over. Age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. New customers only. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio.
And we're back in the Stone Zone. We're talking to Mike Crispy. Mike, you still have your show on Rumble, yes?
Yes, every day people can check me out, 10 a.m. Eastern, rumble.com/crispy. Or we're talking about national politics with a little New Jersey flair, of course. So people got to go check that out as well.
Excellent. So, Mike, I want to ask you about this upcoming Republican primary. New Jersey, one of only 2 states in the nation that have their gubernatorial election in the off year, often read as an indicator of how the new president is doing. But you have, I think, a spirited, but although it appears to be one-sided Republican primary for governor. Many conservatives and MAGA supporters, Trump supporters, urged you to run. I know you thought about it seriously, but elected not to run because you thought you could make a greater contribution doing what you're doing now. But how do you see this contest?
Well, it's coming down in less than 45 days at this point, and it looks like the field is starting to narrow. I think the campaign of Bill Spadia, who people say is a MAGA guy, is starting to fizzle out. His campaign has run out of money, spent almost $1 million, and he can't break 11% in the polls. So people who have been talking about his candidacy, it looks increasing by the day that it's effectively over. Can't run out of cash and not move in the polls. That's a recipe for disaster. So that really leads us with 3 other candidates. John Bramnick is in the race. He's an avowed Trump hater, so his candidacy was kind of dead on arrival. And the other 2 candidates on the ballot are Mario Kranjak and Jack Ciattarelli. I'm hearing from sources Mario Kranjak, who is the most pure MAGA candidate in the race, is ready to do a pretty substantial ad spend. They say $500,000 to $1 million ad spend in late push because people are looking for a MAGA alternative, and he's starting to catch some fire. So that's Mario Kranjak, the former mayor of Inglewood Cliffs and an ally of President Trump. And then we have Jack Ciattarelli, who was at Bedminster a couple of weeks ago. He had a conversation with President Trump, and he has moved his message more towards the Trump angle. Obviously known as more of a moderate, but attempting to rehab his image a little bit and look more to Trump. And he looks like he's leading in the polls right now. So it's going to be a very interesting finish. And I really, truly hope, Roger, that whoever wins this primary embraces President Trump's message, because it's proven you could only win New Jersey if you embrace the MAGA message. President Trump had an incredible finish here in 2024. Every candidate running right now needs to run to that message, not run away from it. And all of the fake Trump people who are running, those people, the voters are smart. They know it. They realize that people like Spadia are phonies who only want to jump on the Trump bandwagon when it's convenient. We need people who are real and disciplined so we can actually turn this state around.
Yeah, I recall Spadia supporting first Ron DeSantis and then Nikki Haley, finally landing with Donald Trump. If I had to call this, I think Jack Ciattarelli is going to win the primary, and then it is uphill for any Republican in the Garden State, but nothing is impossible. I want to thank our guest, Mike Crispy, for joining us today in the Stone Zone.
Thanks for listening to the Stone Zone with Roger Stone. You can hear the Stone Zone with Roger Stone weeknights at 8 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode, so you never have to wonder,
what the heck is going on here?